Happy Peeps, Susanna here today for ThermOWeb, and I'm sharing with you a ugly sweater layout. So that is the layout. It is created with the Frostival collection from PhotoPlay Paper and some Deco flock. So very easy to create on your own. I have already created an example there of the sweater, or one of the ugly sweaters. So I am using the stamp and die that coordinate with the set. If you were not so crafty per se, or short on time and just wanted to get this done, there are actually already decorated sweaters, but I wanted tacky sweaters, and so I wanted to create my own. So I stamped it out twice, or 3 times, and one accidentally dropped the stamp. No problem, moving on, right? And so then I'm going to use the DecoFoil adhesive pen to apply adhesive between the layers of the sweater so that I can apply flock. The beauty of this pen is that it only takes 30 seconds to dry. So if you are impatient like I am, you can just, it's super quick. So I'm just going to set it aside for literally 30 seconds. Make sure you have a good heavy coating of the glue. Not too heavy, but heavy enough that the flock will stick. So I'm going to set that aside, and then I am going to just literally take my bone folder and press layers of flock into this. Now I could have run it through my die cut machine, but then I would have had to have cut the flock exactly in the different colors along the same line, and I was too lazy to do that. So you can see how just pressing hard with a bone folder will leave you a nice thick layer of color, and then you just pull it up in the way that you want. So I have one sweater that is going to be green and red, so I'm using the ruby red and the green envy flock sheets, transfer sheets, and then my other one is going to have pink and the blue sky. So the blue sky is that light blue color there, and then you will have the lighter pink, and the ruby red being the red color in there. And so I will actually color those, and I will show you that in a second, with my pit markers from Faber-Castell, as well as use a few other just random pens in my collection, just to put some finer detail in this. So I am not a great colorer. That is not my forte by any stretch of the imagination. So if you look at the close-ups, you will see that you can actually see the lines where I have done the coloring. I'm not worried about that. It's an ugly sweater, and this is not, to me, this is about having fun and playing and doing different things with my stash than it really is about precision. I am not selling these things. This is my memory keeping. This is my way of telling a story. So I will go ahead and finish out my red and green sweater, and then I want to find a tacky embellishment for the center, as well as my pink and blue / gray, and find something tacky for that. On the one that I had already completed, I did use the snowflake stamp from the actual PhotoPlay paper stamp set that went with this particular sweater. So I colored it all in first, and then went ahead and stamped on top of that, and it turned out perfectly tacky. I love all of the colors, and I love that each of the 3 sweaters is slightly different. So an easy way of creating your own sweater, and super, super simple. So that is one way I'm going to apply flock to the layout, and then coming up after I'm finished coloring here, I will show you another way of applying flock to your layout. It's super, super simple. It does not require any of the transfer methods that I had mentioned previously. So this stamp set also comes with a coordinating die. So I'm working on a magnetic platform, and so that just sticks right away. But if you wanted to, if you were worried about it shifting, you could use some of the purple tape that comes in 2 sizes, and just adhere that. That is a non-permanent, a removable tape, and that would work perfectly. So now I want to work on some fringes for my sweater. I'm going to make the top and bottom of the sweater look kind of like an ugly sweater. So I am using a die that is a zigzag die, and I'm running my flock simply through that. Now if you wanted to, you could absolutely back it with the double-sided foam, the foam sheets that you can purchase in addition to the flock, but I wanted it just flat on my page. So I'm using my needle to punch holes to sew so that I have extra texture. I'm just going to sew along the center of that zigzag there to give me extra texture and extra tackiness in my tacky sweater. So literally just doing a blanket stitch going up and down, skipping one to come back over, in going all the way down. So these are only about 6 inches. They're slightly longer than 6 inches long. I am working on a 12 by 12 layout. So I am going to do 2 of those. And because I'm going to do 2 of those, I am also going to make sure that I sew over the edge. So you see I've got the completed green and blue with the blue thread, and then I just have that the light blue sky to layer up on that. So now I'm adding my tacky to my tacky sweaters, or ugly sweater. I'm trying to add some embellishments to those. These are just old things from my stash, and I'm not using them so much because I want to use up the old as so much as these were the only small embellishments that I could find that would fit in the sweater. So I have an ornament from Martha Stewart that's green that goes with my green and red theme, and then I have skates from, and actually those aren't all that old. I believe those are from I want to say that's crepe paper. Snow Days, the Snowy Days collection, but the pink goes perfectly with that sweater, and is also winter themed and fits in the sweater. That was the key part, was that it needed to fit in the sweater. So just using some liquid adhesive to put some baker's twine down, there are my 3 tacky sweaters. So this lovely stripe paper from the Frostival collection, while is probably intended to be cut apart and serve as different pieces, I thought worked perfectly for like the bands of the sweater that you see it from the sweater that I stamped out. I had toyed with the idea of cutting out a notch at the top so that it looked like the neckline of a sweater, but I didn't, because I liked it the way that it is. And then I'm going to put some red down the bottom to provide some contrast with the rest of the layout there. I need to adhere these down to the page, but I just want to make sure that I've lined up the correct top, rights and lefts to get the correct zigzag. Just getting an idea of how that is going to look, and then figuring out the placement of my 3 sweaters. So the next part of this video I left intact. I was going to pull it out because I wanted to incorporate this journaling card. And then the other thing that I end up leaving in the video is I cut out a green tag thinking that I'm going to use those 2 elements and incorporate them into the layout. But the reason I leave it all here is because I want to show you that sometimes just because you have the things doesn't mean that your layout needs the things. Sometimes simple is better. So another one of the stamps, and it also has a die, but I want to stamp directly onto the layout itself, is this kind of cool scallopy border. I liked the way that added another element to my bottom half or quarter or edge. Let's just call it the edge, the bottom edging of the sweater there. And it took a little bit of the straight lines and softened this up a little bit. It also mimics that scallop that is in the top of the pattern paper there, as well as just adding another texture to the page. So I have here, I believe this is the 16th inch, it might be the 1/8 inch. I believe it's 1/16 inch Gina K double-sided tape, which is perfect. Just run down through the center of that zigzag there to adhere that to the page. And so you can see how I'm tying all of the colors of the top of the layout down into the bottom of the layout and getting my flocky sweater fringe bottom it's coming together and being pulled together nicely. But having that red there really pops the top of the layout and adds a little bit more color and texture to the layout. Looking back, I wish I had cut the red just a little bit shorter, but proportionally it actually works out pretty well. And so, you know, you can go both ways with things. It's kind of the same thing with that 3x4 pocket card that's up there. I really wanted to include it, but sometimes less is more, and sometimes things just work out the way they're supposed to, right? So 3 pictures here, one of both kids in their holiday sweaters, and then one of each of the kids in their holiday sweaters. So what were we doing? I think we were decorating the tree, and Nicholas was wearing his sweater, and Mia put hers on just for the photo. And so the journaling on this layout ends up being decked out. So just about the story of how they came by these holiday sweaters, ugly sweaters, Christmas sweaters, tacky sweaters, whatever you want to call them. They came from England. So this is the part of the layout that I was referring to earlier where, you know, you think that putting layers sometimes is a good thing, but I think when you've got super busy paper like I have here, and then the busyness of the sweaters themselves, both in the photo and the ones that I made to go with the layout, you really don't need all of the things. So simple is best. And so I wanted to show you how, you know, try as you might to get those elements incorporated. Just as because you have them doesn't mean that you need them. The page was just enough as it is. So I like the way that the overlap of the photos and sort of the stagger in the photos goes with the stagger in the trio of elements. And so I did not worry about lining them up precisely. I could have put all 3 of them together and that would have looked just fine too, but because I've got the angles, the different angles in the sweaters when I put those down, it works out well. And it kind of softens the rigidity of the horizontalness of the sweater that I've created there. So I'm using my eternally everlasting roll of double-sided foam from ThermOWeb to back 2 of the sweaters and pop them off the page and give them a little bit of dimension. Truly, this is, I think I'm working on 6 months of having used this double-sided foam now, if not longer than that, because I want to say that that was from CHA last year. And it took a little while to get to me, but definitely worth the investment. I have a black roll too. I just don't, most of what I do is white based, and so I like to use the white. So I want to add just a little bit of decoration, a little bit further embellishment to the page. So I'm using the stickers that go with the Frostival collection. I will off camera add the title as well as an Ellie Studio yellow label to add a little bit more yellow to the page. There is some yellow scattered in there, and I just wanted that little bit of yellow to wrap it all together. The letters that I'm going to end up using again are old from my stash that say decked out. I believe that those are fancy pants, but I might be wrong about that. Don't hold me to that. And so literally these few embellishments that I have on the page currently, I'm not going to keep that hat there, are literally all I go with, and then I'm going to journal visibly down the center in that white space there. So here is the full layout. The close-ups are to come. If you have any questions about how I applied that flock to the sweater, please don't hesitate to ask. I hope you are having a wonderful holiday season. Thanks for stopping in today. Take care.